Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by shamanspiritcenter.com and littleshaman.org. That's me, Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about covert contracts in narcissistic relationship. This is something that can affect all relationships, but the covert contracts in narcissistic relationships may be different than those in relationships which don't include narcissistic people, so I thought we could talk about it on the show today. Covert contracts are basically expectations or rules that we have about how our interactions with this person should go. They are plans or trades that we make up in our heads about how things will or should go. For example, if I do this or I say that, the other person will do this or they should say that. If I work overtime, my partner should agree that it's okay to put a little more aside for our vacation this week. Or if I say I don't feel well, my mother should understand that I can't come over this week. As listeners of this show already know, expectations can be a big source of pain and stress in relationships if they're not realistic and reasonable. When it comes to relationships involving narcissists, this is even more true. Covert contracts are called covert because they're secret. They are agreements and rules that we are expecting the other person to agree to and to follow without ever telling them what they are. When they don't, we feel betrayed and hurt. We assume that they should just know, and when they don't fulfill what we believe is their end of the bargain, we assume they did it on purpose, either to hurt us or because we're not worth it. This is why expectations need to be reasonable, clear, and based in reality. Has this person demonstrated in any way that this is the kind of person that they are, or that they have the capability and the desire to do any of the things that you're requiring? When we create these contracts or these rules in our minds, we're basing them on what we think is fair and what we think is reasonable, and so is the other person. We're not really considering what's going on with the other person or whether they think the same way that we do. We are simply assuming that everybody's on the same page, but as you know, that is not always the case at all, especially when you're dealing with narcissists. The covert contracts you enter into with pathologically narcissistic people are often extremely unreasonable. They involve things that most people would probably not agree to if they were communicated out loud. Things like unquestioning acceptance of their stories, no matter how far-fetched, unwavering support even when they're wrong or when they're being unfair, unconditional acceptance of their behavior, no matter how terrible it is, never ending the relationship or, quote, abandoning them, no matter what happens, working constantly to fix their fractured self-worth, taking responsibility for all of their mistakes, problems, and behaviors, never disappointing them, and many other things that are ridiculously unfair, unreasonable, and unrealistic. The problem with this, as with all covert contracts, is that people don't know that this is what is required of them, and they wouldn't agree to it if they did know, because these things are impossible to do. Narcissists, by and large, are probably unable to communicate these things. They are often completely disconnected from their feelings and their needs. Like a child, they often cannot articulate what they need. They can only react when they don't get it. When you attempt to interpret a narcissist's needs back to them for clarity based on their behavior, they will often deny that this is what they're asking for, even though their reactions clearly prove that it is. For example, if the narcissist throws a tantrum every time you try to do something, and then you say, "So are you saying that you don't want me to do this?" They often say that's not what they want, even though it very obviously is. Their words contradict their behavior, and as a result, the other person in the relationship does not understand what they want and cannot even attempt to give it to them. This inability to communicate what they want or how they feel creates a situation where they can never get what they want because nobody knows what it is. This is destructive to relationships of any kind, and especially in narcissistic relationships, because the other person gets tired of the guessing games and of the narcissist's inability to simply say what they feel or ask for what they want. They get tired of the contradictions. They get tired of being punished for not following all of these unspoken rules and performing according to all these unspoken scripts. They get tired of never being told how to get things right and therefore always being wrong. The narcissist gets tired of it too. They get tired of no one giving them what they need, of no one even knowing what that is, of everyone always disappointing them, and of feeling like there are unfair expectations placed on them where they're being forced to give things to others that they don't have, can't give, or don't want to give. It's a disappointing, unfulfilling relationship for everybody involved. Covert contracts can destroy relationships, especially because in narcissistic relationships, what you have apparently agreed to are things you can't even do. This is why boundaries are so important. Boundaries are the clear communication of what we expect. This is the only way to be sure that your needs and desires are known. If you never tell someone what you expect, they will always disappoint you. And if what you expect pushes them away, or if what they expect pushes you away, it's good to find that out because this wouldn't be a good fit for you in the end anyway. Not everyone can give you what you want out of a relationship, and it really is best to understand that. If, after you've clearly communicated what you need or what you expect, the person still chooses not to give it to you, you have a decision to make about whether you want this person in your life or not. It's not easy, but it's really the only choice because there's no way to have a healthy or fair relationship with an unhealthy, unfair person. We cannot force others to do what we want. We cannot make them act the way that we want them to act. The only thing we can do is choose whether we want them in our lives, and luckily, that's the only power we need. I hope this clears a few things up for you. As always, I look forward to your comments, questions, and suggestions, so please keep those coming. I take appointments online, over the phone, via text, via messenger, via email, and through Skype. So if you're interested in speaking with me one-on-one, you can visit littleshaman.org to go ahead and do that. I teach workshops a few times a month, so if you're interested in attending any of those, you can visit littleshaman.org to do that as well. You've been listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by shamanspiritcenter.com and littleshaman.org. That's me, Little Shaman. May the Great Spirit bless you and have a wonderful day.